Hey everyone, welcome to a how to play video on Bunny Boom. The goal of the game, there are rabbits everywhere. It's a full-blown invasion, and it seems like nothing can stop these adorable little critters from multiplying. The village is out of control, and the villagers have had enough of tripping over all these rabbits at every turn. In Bunny Boom, your goal is to saddle the other villagers with a rabbit problem. To achieve this aim, you have to tactically play cards from your hand to move the bunnies as far away from you as possible. But watch out! Even as you offload one batch of bunnies, you'll be bringing yet more rabbits into the village, and you might even cause a bunny boom. Every new card played will add to the chaos. You might even be forced to move to a new location, or find that rabbits start appearing in your own home. The villager who ends the game with the fewest bunnies will be the winner. So as you can tell, this is a card game. There's going to be 60 cards in a deck, comprising 48 base cards, and 12 variants, divided into 6 suits. Each card is going to have A, a suit, B, a bunny value, C, play effect, D, a river effect, and E, a movement effect. Now let's start setting up the game. We put the center tile in the center of the board along with the carrot on top of it. Then we give every player their home tile along with their matching meeple. In TTS, all these things are done for us. Now if you're playing with the fox variant or the burrow variant or both, add those to the deck and then shuffle. But in this teaching video, we're just going to be playing a standard game. Now if you're playing a 2-player game, shuffle the purple deck and deal 3 cards to each player. If you're playing a 3/4-player game, combine both decks and deal 3 cards to each player's hands. For this teaching video, I'm doing this manually. However, you can right-click the deck and click deal to all players 3 times to deal 3 cards to each player. Now take the remaining cards in the deck, take it over to the river spot, give it another shuffle for good luck, and draw 3 cards face up to the river. Now to determine first player, it's the last person who ate a carrot. But if you haven't had a carrot in a while, consider other carrot-like objects and other objects that are also orange. Now if you're choosing to play with the sand timer, which is an optional variant, give it to the first player, otherwise just leave it in the windmill spot. Now let's go ahead and recap that setup before we go into how to play the game. In a 2-player game, you should only be using the purple deck, and in a 3-4-player game, you should be using both orange and purple in a combined deck. Then, all players should have 3 cards in their hand. For this teaching video, I'm keeping them face down on the board. Now everyone's village pawns should be on the center tile, along with the center tile and the carrot. Now, all players should have 1 bunny in their home tile, and if you're using the sand timer, give it to the first player, otherwise leave it in the windmill. Now we can get into teaching you how to play Bunny Boom. You're going to be playing cards. In a 2-player game, you can place them left to right of the center tile. In a 3-player game, you can also go above the center tile. And in a 4-player game, you can go below the center tile, giving you all directions to play cards. Now, if you're playing with the sand timer, you must flip it. This will start a 15-second countdown, and within this time, you must play a card, otherwise you'll face a penalty. Now, when it comes to placing these cards, there are 3 locations they can go. They can be placed to an empty space next to the center tile. However, if there is already a card in play, I can place my card adjacent to it, or I can place my card on top of it. But to be able to do this, level 1 phase must be complete, which is where all cards on the base level have been played. This will allow players to stack to tier 2 and to tier 3. Now, if you're playing with the sand timer and you fail to play a card within the 15 seconds, you must take that penalty. And that penalty is you'll take home the highest bunny value in the river. As you can see here, we have a bunny value of 3, 2, and 2. So let's say the pink player failed to play a card in the 15 seconds, so they will take 3 bunnies home with them. So we'll come over to the bunny bags and hand them 3 small bunnies of 1 value. We also have bunnies of 5 values and bunnies of 10 values if things really get out of control. So now you know how the sand timer works and the penalty involved in that. And if that's not your speed, let's just go back to standard turns. Let's say it's Orange's turn. Orange is going to select a card and place it in a legal spot on the main board. They'll then immediately activate their play effect, which is the downwards arrow icon. The only exception to the rule of this is the Bunny Boom card, which you play after moving your villager pawn, which is step 4. The orange player will pick up their villager pawn and move it orthogonally towards their card, activating any movement effects it walks through, but not the card it lands on. So on this situation, it didn't move for any cards, and it doesn't activate the card it lands on, so the movement effect icon, which is the green moving symbol, does not activate. So let's say we put the orange villager pawn back on the center tile, and let's say when this card is played, there were these other 2 cards ahead of it. When the villager pawn wants to get there, they're going to activate that first bunny movement card, the second bunny movement card, but not the 3rd card which you just played. And one more important thing to note, if there are bunny tiles on the card, as your villager pawn moves across them, pick them up and put them in your respected home. Now, if the card you have just played has a river effect icon, has little waves next to its play effect symbol, you select one of the cards in the river that has a river effect, immediately activate it, then discard the card. And if none of the cards in the river has a river effect, you don't get to activate anything. After that, draw back up to 3 cards and replenish the river. Then, pass turn clockwise and do it all again. Now, I fast forwarded the game to phase 1 is complete, so we can start talking about stacking and tiering cards. There are 2 pieces of terminology that I'd like to explain: open suits and closed suits. An open suit is when you play a card to a location that doesn't have a matching suit. When this happens, you'll place the card directly on top, creating a stack. There is no maximum amount of cards that can be placed on top of a stack. However, every time you do this, you check the bunny value of the card you just played and add that number of bunnies to your home tile. However, when you play a card that has a matching suit, in this case Cloud and Cloud, this is considered a closed suit and no other cards can be played on top of it. However, movement effects still occur, so as your meeple walks over them, activate any movement effects that occur. And one final rule with stacking cards: if your player pawn is currently on a card that you want to stack, you cannot do so, but other players may. So if yellow's piece was on this card and orange wanted to play it, that's perfectly fine. They can move their piece off, place that card down, and the pawn will go on. However, if orange was here, they could not. Now let's talk about endgame conditions. The first condition is when the draw pile runs out. This can happen when you draw or when you replenish the river. The other way is when there are no more legal spaces available, which would mean that all the suits are closed. As you can see, we've got 2 water, 2 leaves, 2 lightning bolts, 2 suns. You see where I'm coming from. So let's go about doing final scoring. We move over to your home tile and you're going to count all the bunnies that you have. This orange player has 7 small bunnies, 1 5 bunny, and 1 10 bunny, for 22 bunnies in total. Now the orange player is going to check if they have any cards left over in their hand and add their bunny total to their score. So in this case, it would be 8 extra bunnies. Now if the orange player also had the carrot, they would add an extra 4 bunnies to their total. So adding this all up, it would be 34 bunnies in total. Now the winner of this game, who has the least amount of bunnies, but in case of a tie, the player with the fewest bunnies in bunny tokens wins the game. And if there's still a tie, you just have to play another game, guys, and just see who wins. Well, thank you very much for watching this how to play video on Bunny Boom. If you want to play it right now, it's live on Tabletop Simulator, link in the description. And if you like this video, give us a subscribe, throw some dice against that like button, and hit that bell so hard that you get notified when the next video goes live.